Karibuni sana. This is George from Agritech Organic Farm. Agritech Organic Farm is based in Rari, Kiambu County, Kamburu Ward, whereby we deal with a number of things. We deal with vermiculture and vermicomposting. We deal with black soldier fly farming, azora farming, and basically we deal with organic farming. So we have a guest today. We have Stanley, where we connected from Africa Farmers Club, and we are going to take him through on vermiculture and a few things whereby he can be able to start. So welcome. So here we have which we can call the worm system. We call them the beds. We have already set up beds. We have new beds which we are setting up. So this is just a development or an extension of the vermiculture system. We are increasing the productivity of the production of the compost. So mainly here we have the system we call the beds. And as you can see, we have the beds which are named. We have labeled them with the numbers. Each and every bed has worms, which are already working. So what we do a setup of the system. We construct the beds. You can construct with so many different things, but mainly considering that we have timber around, so we use timber which is readily available. You can use plastic containers, drums, and other different setups, provided you are able to contain the worms, to give them an environment which is conducive for them, and to be able to feed them.
So, concerning the worms, is there a temperature that they require for them to survive, or?
Yeah, there is a temperature which is so much conducive for them.
Yes.
We say inside the bed, it should not exceed 15 degrees.
15 degrees?
Yeah.
But how do you measure these 15 degrees to know this bed is okay for these worms to breed in?
So in a normal farm setup, we may not be able really to measure, but we try to control depending on what we are feeding.
Okay.
Because we know if we feed something during the decomposition process, it produces a lot of heat.
Okay.
For example, if you use chicken manure.
Okay.
So we try to look for something that even during the decomposition process, it does not produce a lot of heat. So we use cow manure, sheep manure, rabbit manure, but we have to make it wet.
Or you have to wet it first?
Yeah, you have
before
to
you use it.
Yeah, before you use it.
Okay.
So that even during the decomposition process, it won't produce that heat. It won't heat up.
So how do you make it wet? Is there a chemical you use, or is there a place where you will put the manure first? Or?
So now during the feeding or the setup process, we say we have a setup process whereby during the initial stages we make layers of different things.
Okay.
So at the first layer or at the bottom, we use about 2 inches of dry matter.
Or 2 inches of dry matter?
Yeah, at the bottom.
Yes.
So the dry matter will consist of so many things. You can use hay, you can use plant leaves, which are already dry. So different varieties of dry matter.
Can you use sawdust at the bottom also?
Sawdust is not so much recommended.
Yes.
But at times you may use sawdust, but of specific trees, not all trees.
Oh, not all trees.
Yeah. Because we know if you use, there is a type you can use, then it will reduce the acidity of your compost.
So which one do you?
So mostly if you are using sawdust, you can just use gravelia.
Gravelia?
Yeah,
okay.
You can use that. Plant tree leaves, also you use gravelia mostly.
Okay.
Avocados, leaves. So we use such types.
Yeah.
Then now that is the first layer. Then the second layer, we come now with the manure. So the manure, there are 2 ways of which you can put the manure. First, you keep it somewhere, you water it so well, such that it gets to be wet before bringing it in your bed.
Okay.
Then now you can introduce your worms. Or Yeah.
how long does it take for the manure to be ready to be used?
We say from the moment you get your manure from your cow shed, we give it a period of not less than 2 weeks
2 weeks.
for it first to drain the urine. Then you can bring it. After draining the urine, you can come with it, water, and introduce it immediately.
When you place the manure somewhere, do you cover it or you just leave it open?
There are a number of ways you can do that.
Yes.
We don't advise that you leave it open because of at times rain, direct sunlight, which will continue to kill the nutrients.
Okay.
So we advise either at a shade or covering it, but don't leave it just open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, why did you prefer to make the beds? Why couldn't you just maybe dig a hole somewhere, then introduce those worms there?
The reason as to why we use the bed system, there are so many different systems one can use, but we try to look which one is favorable to which area.
Okay.
Like now in my case here, in Lari,
Yes.
we have so many safari ants, siafu, of which is a major predator of the worms. So we have to make a system which will eliminate the safari ants.
Okay.
And that is why we make the raised beds. Then on the stand, we introduce a repellent.
Oh, so this is
So
a repellent to
so this is
the
a repellent
ants?
to the ants.
Okay.
So that way, we're able to eliminate the safari ants.
Okay.
So there are other regions whereby you can, we make a system known as a windrow system. You just heap your compost just at the ground, but we advise first you either cement or use a polythene at the bottom. Then you can heap your compost and introduce the worms. Yeah. So we just try to look which unit will work in which area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason as to why we have named the bed, we try to monitor so much in terms of production of the compost and reproduction of the worms. Because now you may feed maybe bed 1, you find that it's so much productive, and find that bed 4, it's not that much productive in terms of the rate at which the worms are reproducing or the way they are producing the compost. So we try to name the bed so that we can be able to monitor. When we are initiating, after doing the whole setup, we introduce the worms. But we introduce the worms a certain amount per bed. We don't just introduce.
Oh, there should be a specific amount for each bed.
There is a specific amount.
Okay.
So like for each bed, measuring now, this is, we say this is about 2.5 meters. The whole bed.
The whole bed.
Yeah, so the whole bed, we are giving it 5 kgs of worms.
5 kg of worms.
Yeah, because 1 meter squared takes 2 kgs of worms.
Okay. What will happen if maybe you did excess of that now?
If you did excess of that, one thing that is going to be there, first the production of the compost will be okay,
Yes.
but the worms won't reproduce.
Because they will be
Because they
suffocating.
will be enough for that system.
Uh,
If you put res or you introduce res, one thing that will happen, they will take a longer time in composting and they will reproduce more. So we try to control that. We make sure that the production is okay and also they are reproducing.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So what motivated you to maybe start this project of vermiculture?
Yeah. So when I was starting this system,
Yes.
I started vermiculture as a way of reproducing worms to feed my chicken.
Oh,
So it was not mainly for the compost.
so you rear chicken around?
Yeah, I have some chicken.
Kienyeji or?
Yeah, kienyeji.
Okay.
So when I was starting that, it was mainly for chicken. But now after trying to produce the worms to feed the chicken, I learned that, or I realized that the rate of reproduction of the worms, it was not sustainable. for the chicken feeds.
Meaning it was less
Yeah, it was
compared to
less.
the number of chickens you have.
Yeah, it was less. And it needed me to have so many systems so that I can harvest on a daily basis to feed the chicken.
Okay.
But doing my own researches on the internet, I realized that the compost produced by the worms is of higher quality
Okay.
than any other type of compost. So the next project that I do here at the farm is the black soldier fly system, and that is where we are now. So here we have the black soldier fly system, where the main importance is to get source of protein for animals. So initially I had told you we started earthworms to get a source of protein for my chicken.
For your chicken.
So later when I realized it was not working, so I kept on trying to look more for something which could work. So that is why I got the black soldier fly. So in here we have the actual black soldier fly. So the main activity of the fly is just to give us eggs, and it will have accomplished the mission.
So it produces eggs here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it will just give us eggs. So when we do this setup, we have to introduce some things so that we can get the flies and we can be able to get the eggs. So the first thing that we do, we introduce the pupa stage of the black soldier fly.
Oh, the pupa stage.
Yeah.
I can
pupa
see
stage.
this one.
Yeah. Now in here we have some pupa. So these are the pupa.
Okay.
So this is what now we are going to introduce inside the cage. So in these containers we have the pupa. The pupa will give us the flies. The flies will start making, and after a period of 5 days, 6 days from emerging, the flies will start laying the eggs.
So it's a stage.
Yeah, it's a stage.
So
it's a process. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So once they are ready to start laying, by then we'll have done a setup of where the flies will lay the eggs, and we will be able to harvest the eggs now from there.
Okay.
Yeah, because the flies do not lay their eggs just anywhere.
So, like these flies, can you know how much number of eggs they lay in a day or?
Now what we do,
Yeah.
we harvest the eggs, then we weigh.
Or
So
you
we
weigh the
are able to know, like they are giving us about 3 or 5 grams per day, because after every harvest we weigh. But we do not harvest the eggs on a daily basis.
Oh, okay.
We harvest the eggs after every 3 days. We harvest the eggs, then we weigh, then we incubate.
So how much weight of the eggs can you get maybe after that 3 days?
So after the 3 days, mostly we have been getting 10 grams, 15 grams, depending mostly on how the weather have been and the amount of flies.
Okay.
Because now this one is so much dictated by the changes in weather. Now considering that we are in a T-zone, sometimes the temperatures really drop,
Okay.
which affects the flies. When the temperatures are good, the flies will be so much active and they will lay eggs comfortably. So this is Azora. Azora is a source of protein for chicken, pigs, fish, cattle. And Azora, it's pretty easy to produce because you just need stagnant water, you need manure, and now the Azora plant. So after setting, you just do a setup of a pond, a shallow pond. Then you can introduce manure, then you can introduce water 3/4 full of the pond, then introduce your Azora. And after a period of 3 to 4 weeks, you will be ready to start harvesting and feeding your animals. It's a good source of protein, mainly for the chicken. It helps in production of the eggs. For the pigs, it helps in growth.
Wagwan Nairobi, Wagwan people of Africa. You want to Africa? Kenyanese. Welcome to The Real Talk with CK, Dr. CK. Oh my God. Si daktari ya kusomea. Ni daktari ya kujipea. But anyway, welcome to The Real Talk with CK. And today we're having a real conversation with the young people and everyone out. And we'll start with a case study. For example, just before cessation, yangu, Mungu ananipenda, Mungu anatupenda anyway. Because I was privileged, nilikuwa privileged. Kuweza kutembea Kenya. Wewe umetembea Kenya by the way? What is the farthest place you've gone? Kisumu. Kutoka wapi?
Kutoka Nairobi. Nairobi Kisumu.
So Nairobi to Kisumu. Yes. Approximately how many kilometers?
400 and something.
400 kilometers. Kwa hizo 400 kilometers, how many people did you see are active in agriculture? And various regions. For example, umetoka Nairobi to Kisumu, right? Those are how many regions? That's Nairobi region as its own. Then there's Rift Valley. Alafu unaingia
Kisumu.
Nyanza, si ndio? So those are 3 different places and I have 3 different types of agriculture. So what was like the main things that you saw on top of your mind? Unaweza sema hii naijua juu ya hii kitu. Kericho because of tea.
I think it's the most common thing to learn kwa njia ukipita. There's not much to see in along Nakuru. Nah.
Yeah, I know. There's a brother who is very lucky to have me in his life, anaitwa Stano. Aliniambia Kericho inakuanga imeweza sana.
Grade 1?
Mimi sijui kama ni grade 1. Sasa mimi najua tu
hakuna grade 1 Kenya.
Hakuna? Na sisi ndio tunatoa grade 1. That's very unfortunate. So umesema Kericho T. Ai, umeenda sana kutoka Nairobi hadi Kericho, kuna kitu kingine
uliona? Like tumefikiria kwanza ni Kericho. Hapa katikati.
Naivasha, hakuna kitu uliona Naivasha?
Naivasha kuna kwanga na flowers lakini hazikwangi kwa njia. Mbali sana.
Sawa, haya Nakuru.
Nakuru umeona mall msi.
Oh, bado kuingia Limuru ama ulikuwa umelala kwa gari hiyo time? After Nakuru, let me be honest. Unaona ukitoka Nakuru, mimi nilio now branching towards Nyahururu. Mimi sijui kuingia Western. I've never sijaipita hapo Nakuru. So kutoka Nakuru nielezee the next point.
The next point. I think the only place I can tell you is Sauga. It's the only point I know.
So hakuna kitu kingine ya permanent ufike Kericho kitu very very unique.
No, randomly utaona maize kwa field. I think tunakwanga tumegrow maize almost everywhere in Kenya, so unaipatanga everywhere along the way. And then the most dominant thing utaona sasa ni Kericho ukifika, you see tea along the way. Kisumu people don't do farming as such. Na kama iko ni kidogo, so hutaipata anywhere even close to the road. Okay,
so on a scale of 1 to 10. Na hizo vitu zote uliona Kericho and all that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many young people do you think? It's you thinking, not what you observed. We are from what you observed. Now from you thinking, how many young people do you think are into agriculture?
1 to 10.
From now Nairobi to Kisumu.
I swear, almost 2.
2%.
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
So in every 10 young people, unasema kuna watu wawili wako into agriculture. So for Lillian, she thinks in a scale of 1 to 10, 2 young people, ukishikanisha watu 10 young people, out of the 10 you'll get 2 doing agriculture. So I don't know how you think about that. What are your thoughts, opinions? Like kutoka Nairobi to Kisumu, out of 10 random young people, 2 are into agriculture. So I don't know what are your opinions and thoughts about that. But right here on the Real Talk with CK, tutakuwa tunaongelea young people in agriculture and what it really takes to be in agriculture. Na mambo nataka hiyo do. Siwezi malizia ngoma. Na maneno zingine si mzuri. But we'll be talking about do in agriculture. Au sio?
Ni biashara.
Ni biashara, biashara and all about biashara in agriculture. Besha farifari. Do you know what besha farifari means?
I know.
Besha fari.
Translate.
Pesa taslim. Anyway, it's all about biashara in agriculture and the young people and what, because every young person out here, especially during this economy and during these times, It's all about money. Kila mtu anataka do na in the best way and the quickest way possible. But now we are here to tell you agriculture might be one of the quickest way you can get money. But at the same time, as always, betri sijui kama iko karibu katika lakini sawa. As always, two things when it comes to agriculture. Patience. And what?
Hard work.
Okay, hiyo ni yake lakini hiyo ni yake lakini yangu ni patience. Okay, hard work tuweke chini.
Commitment.
Okay, hiyo pia ni yake. Lakini zangu mbili ni patience and intentionality. Just being intentional. Because when you're intentional being in agriculture, utapata kila kitu alafu kuwe too patient. Kuwe patient, exercise patience, ndio zitakama.
Ukikuwa intentional utakuwa committed.
Nimesema ni zako. Ni zako tu. Ni vile sikuwa nazo. So shine nazo, ameshine nazo. Yeah. I think hapo tunaweza sema kati. Nimechoka.
But now, when you go to the market right now in any supermarket and you want to buy the tea leaves, they're a bit quite expensive. Okay, so what can the tea lovers or just people out there who love tea locally can do to get quality tea?
I think the way I said, this is a thing where we work as a unit. We can't work alone. The government can't work alone. The farmers can't work alone. It is a joint effort.
So it's all of us,
Yes.
whether the consumer, the private sector, the farmers, and also the government.
Because if we as consumers stay aside, we will be given whatever they think.
Okay.
The farmers will just give us whatever they think is right. If the government stays away, also the farmers and the producers will just produce whatever they feel is okay with them. They won't make an effort. And if the producers decided they don't want to do anything, you see, we won't even get the produce. So it's a joint effort. It's a cycle that I think everyone has to work together for us to be able to get the right thing that we need.
So as you've heard, it's all about everyone. We work together as a unit, from the farmer to the private sector to the government, and also to you as a consumer. So if you're out there, you're a tea lover, tell us, do you really enjoy the quality of tea that you're getting locally? Or maybe if you outside the country, do you really enjoy the quality of tea that we give you as our exports? We shall be right back after the break with some several other reasons as to why these policies and laws are supposed to be in place.
Celery is a marshland plant that comes from the same family as carrots and parsley. It has long, firm and pale green fibrous stalks and grows in bunches of approximately 8 to 10 centimeters. The stalks taper into leaves at the top. When planting celery, it's best to ensure that the soil is enriched with compost and with a soil pH of between 5.8 to 6.8. It is also important for celery to grow in moisture-retentive soil. Lastly but not the least, select a site that receives full, and direct sunlight. Celery needs about 130 to 140 days to mature between seedling and harvest. Growing celery is generally considered to be an ultimate vegetable gardening challenge. It's easy to grow, but has very specific needs. Melon is a trailing vine in the gourd family. The word melon can refer to either the plant or specifically to the fruit. Watermelon is a type of melon that is sweet and refreshing fruit. Watermelons can either be grown on home gardens for small-scale farmers or large-scale depending on the market demand. You can either transplant or plant watermelon seeds directly. For best performance, plant watermelons in hot, sunny locations with loose, fertile, well-drained soil that is rich in organic matter. It is best to plant watermelons on raised rows and ensure that the soil pH is between 6.0 to 6.8. On average, it takes around 3 months for a watermelon to grow from seed to mature fruit, with smaller varieties having shorter growing times than larger varieties of watermelon. Watermelon growing, if done rationally and on a scalable basis, can be a good source of income.
One of the most important activities on our farms is scouting. Why is it important? Because you get to know what is affecting your crops on a daily basis. Join me, Noah Nasiali Kadima, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m., where we guide you to attain knowledge and grow profits.
Are you a farmer facing challenges in your farm? Pests, diseases, or even unsatisfactory produce? Worry no more. The solution is here. Join us every Tuesday on Diagnostic Tuesday, where we talk about various issues affecting agriculture and interacting with experts with knowledge in different sectors of agriculture to provide you with appropriate solutions, giving hope to farmers to attain better yields, to achieve financial success and development. Our farmers attain knowledge and grow profits.
And thank you so much for tuning in. And this is Farm Drive right here on iFarmers. And we are having an interesting conversation all about policies and the laws. But remember, still I'll keep on insisting that we need, during these tough times, we need to sanitize, we need to keep distance, social distance, and most importantly, we need to wear your mask. It's yours, wewe peke yako. Don't share your mask. Don't if you're using the rewashable, make sure it's rewashable. So make sure you wash. You can reuse it as much times as you can, but make sure it's clean. If you're using the other one, make sure it's just 10 bob. You can buy a pack, just stay with it in the house, but make sure it's a clean mask and it's a good mask, and we'll be somewhere as a country. And definitely, before we went for the break, we were talking about uh, the tea. I asked you about what do you feel about the tea quality that we have as a country. And here we have Henry Nyamogo saying the tea produced in the country is categorized into 3 grades: the fine, medium grades are sold abroad, and the third, poor and low grade, is sold locally. And he says that that's how mean we are to ourselves. No Kenyan has ever tasted their finest grade 1 tea, and that's very unfortunate for us as a country, seeing that we are exporting the finest tea, but for us tunachua ile that grade tea.
And I think it's something the government should work on. Because you see, it's not fair. It's something you guys are producing. But if you ask a Kenyan, no one knows the real taste of grade 1 tea. No one knows the real taste of the good tea.
Unless you go abroad.
Unless you go abroad. It's like we are producing for people outside. We are forgetting that we already have local consumers within us. It's like we are programmed to produce for people outside the country, purposely for imports and exports. Like, we don't want to satisfy the local consumer as they should. We are more focused on satisfying people outside the country, which is actually not good for us. And I think it's something people should do about it. Something should be done.
But it should start with the government, the same people that are giving us this tea.
It should start with the government.
So you're to tell me the farmer who was taking that product to the factory himself doesn't taste the finest of his tea?
Do you realize most tea is processed actually outside the country? The one that is exported.
Then they also process locally it's processed. They process that grade tea.
Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. You see the local thing that we have. But really good tea is actually processed out there. And I don't know. Maybe the government should come into an agreement with the producers. But I think it's because tea has been one of our major exports. One of our major exports for quite a long while. For quite a long while. And it has given the country very good returns. And as you can see, in Kenya, we actually have very good climate for tea farming. And people do it well. And it earns the country money. I think that's why they would actually be hesitant to give you back the real quality tea that maybe I figure out if I am to think. I am just trying to imagine. I don't think it will be the same price as the tea we take.
That is very unfortunate for us as a country.
Because the quality differs.
And also,
so it wouldn't be the same price.
So if they give us the grade 1 tea,
I don't think it will be. Like, I'm trying to see the grade 20, the price at which it's sold, and what we get is not the same price. And you see, more people are inclined to, you see, this is a business making venture.
but at the same time, the Kenyans don't know the difference between grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3,
And it is lack of information.
which is
And
everywhere.
that is one thing that we have in Kenya. We have lack of information among
Is
the
it lack
people.
of information, or it's just ignorance? Out of ignorance, we just don't want, because the information is out there. We can Google anytime and get information of the difference between all these grades,
Mhm.
and you'll be okay. But also, still on your comments, the comments that you're giving, remember you can also comment on on our live Facebook stream. That is our farmers, that the Z has a Z at the end. And still on Henry Nyamogo, it's a question to you, Lillian.
Mhm.
He's asking, how come brokers are the one who determine market prices, yet they are neither producers nor consumers?
I think we have a problem in Kenya.
Mhm.
We don't have the right marketing channels. We don't have the right marketing channels put in place, and you find the brokers do most of the selling for the farmers. And that's why I was saying, if initially when we started the discussion, I was saying if the farmers would come together, form a group, and decide to even sell their produce, it would make better sense. They would make money out of what they're selling. But the fact that these farmers, they are almost operating independently.
Yeah.
I sell my produce to you, you take it to the market. Mercy sells it to someone else, someone takes it to the market. Like, we are working independently, there is no unity. If we had unity and we decide to come up with a proper system, I think the systems are not in place. If we had a proper system of the marketing channel, we would have eliminated the
I think the
brokerness.
systems are just there. They're just either corrupt or broken. Because now, if now we have the system you're talking about, where people are coming together and forming groups and working together, then that means we kick out the brokers.
Yes.
Those who are rogue, especially. We have very rogue brokers.
And I find actually most sectors, most value chain sectors, they have systems that governing them.
Okay.
For the horticulture, we have the Horticultural Development Authority governing them. I think these kind of systems should come in place and put a proper marketing channel for their farmers. I think where we had a system where, I'm trying to imagine a system where we had all horticultural farmers being registered under the Horticultural Development Authority, right?
Yeah.
Once you're done producing your products, you can bring them. This is how we sell it. This is what you get in return. Like, it's a very, very specific system. So, at the end of it all, you're not making losses. Your products will not waste away because you didn't get market. Like, you are assured of what you're doing. I think the systems that we have in place are not really functioning as well as they
As
should.
well as we should.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate for us as a country. So before we go to the problems that we have in terms of policies and laws, let's talk about the last reason that we have. It's about access of market for market.
Ah,
That these policies helps us to, or helps the farmers or the people involved in the products to have the access for market for market. Talk to us about that.
you see, especially let me talk for people who export their produce. As an individual, I wouldn't be able to sell my watermelons somewhere in Canada. I wouldn't. I don't know the channel to go about. I don't know at what price I would sell it at. I know nothing about how the system works. But you see, the moment we have the policies and the laws, this is the channel that is followed. This is what is done. The government helps you in this way. They do this for you. And this is like, it helps actually even minimize the risks that might happen along the way. You get?
Yeah.
Like, you are sure if my product is going, this is the channel that it's following. It already has market. If you've seen, most countries actually sign agreements. You will be producing this for us, like you will be exporting this to us. You see, like the flower industry,
Yeah.
you will be exporting this to us. We take it at this price, and this is, everything has been
So these
agreed
policies
on.
have come to a point where it's helping the farmers who want to either produce or take to have exports. Because when you, as you said, when you do it alone, becomes very hectic
It
for you
is
to even
hectic.
export.
It is hectic. But when you have the government helping you in place, the government can actually even identify a market in relation to the country. You see communication between countries, and you already know there's a ready market. All you have to do is bring your produce, and you know you can't do it alone. If you have seen, actually, that's how international relations work. The government can always do things for you. They can always debate things for you. They can do that, and that's why we have them here. So with the agricultural policies, the government helps these farmers, these local monarchy that wants to export. The way we are saying that most of the farmers out here who are doing especially for the export market are large scale farmers. So the government comes in place and helps these local monarchy who cannot access Netherlands to sell their flowers. But the government can. The government can.
They are able to intervene for you.
Yes, they can. They intervene for you. So you are able to sell your produce and you're able to get your income back.
Now that's the export. Now we are talking
Yes.
about overseas. We are talking about other countries. Now let's come locally, and I'll give you an example of eggs. You know, I'm not really, I'm not right, but if you're watching, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The biggest market right now for eggs, maybe where we can, like a market, probably what I know of what I've had is Kino for now. Maybe I'm not really sure. You can correct me if you're watching.
I
It's
really
Kino,
didn't know that.
you know. And now, for example, I want I want to start rearing chicken, you know. And when I get these eggs, I want I want to have a market. I really don't have a market. I don't know what to do. Can the government help me locally? Do you have policies where you can help local farmers to actually get a market in the country? It's everyone for himself and God for us all.
Can we start with one mistake that we should be avoiding?
Okay.
There's something we advise when you are getting in agriculture. What do you want to deal with it? Have you actually explored the market that is there for it? You know, you don't want to get into something. I have had stories of cases. You find someone planted a whole farm of cabbages, almost 10 acres. The produce is ready, and you don't have a market. What do you do with the cabbages?
Just start giving out. There's
You
nothing else. You have no market.
Exactly, or you are selling it at very low prices and you're actually not making anything out of it. So I advise before you start anything, do you like really have a look at the market? Identify, we say identify first a gap. I think this market, it's not very saturated. This place needs this kind of thing, and the environment here can actually support it. You know, like for the crops, and you can actually produce it. And you know, I have this target market, not like you just produce quite fast and then you start looking for market. It will be really hectic. Most probably, you won't even get the market that you're looking for. So I think because you see, the local farmers are really scattered, and I feel like most farmers are not registered in any place, in any system that they are doing commercial farming or anything. So you find it so hard, even for if a system was supposed to work and they're supposed to help you in anything, and you guys are not registered. You know, I can't come to every door. Are you a farmer? Do you do this? Do you need to be helped with this? It is
You can't
really
really help
hard.
door to door. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you have to look for these people.
I
It's
feel
easier
like
for you who wants to start to look for help. Now I'm asking now, do you have those policies in place where I want to start? I don't know where to start as a farmer. I actually don't know what to you know to get to the market or even what to plant or what to keep if it's livestock. You understand? Now where do we have policies locally? Because now uh for for exports, you've explained very well there are policies there and they really work. But locally, do we have do those policies work locally where we have now, for example, I've realized there's a gap or a niche in 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 uh, in eggs, but now I have no access to the market. Maybe probably I want to start in Kino because I'm around Wangigi. That's where I'm rearing my chicken. Now I want a market. Now do you have policies in place where they can help you access a market?
the Kenyan policies, I feel like they haven't been very effective. I feel like the local farmer really works on his own. they have no system in place helping them, guiding them along the way. And I feel it's like it's a gap we actually have in the policies that we have in place. I feel like the local farmer really strains from the word go, from accessing your inputs to use, extension services, you trying to get your market. I feel like they are really strained. The system in place doesn't really accommodate it. I think it is more accommodating to the export farmers. And I feel like small scale farmers are really strained in this place because you see most of the farmers are large scale farmers, and you find it's like the policies that have been put in place are very accommodating to them, but it kind of leaves out the small scale farmers. The small scale farmer really has to work to really you work extra. You have no one guiding you, you
No one
have no one
guiding you. You're
supporting
just by
you.
yourself.
Yes,
You're just coming to
you are
realize.
really straining.
And as we get that, we are already diving into the problems that we have now in this sector. And the first one, as we are talking about, just kidogo too, it's about marketing challenges. So it's like it's tied together with what we are talking about,
True.
where we have you have the product, but now getting to the market or getting the market, especially where we're talking about crops are being or the product that you have is everywhere. For example, what product do we have? Like it's almost everywhere. Getting a market will be close to apart from that, what we're talking about today, onions from Tanzania. We already have onions in Kenya. But now you as a farmer who has grown onions in Kenya, it's very hard for you to get the market because now the market is overflowing with onions from Tanzania.
Okay.
That's one problem. So I was asking, what other product do we have that is almost everywhere? When you go to every county or every small town, you can. It's very very rare to not lack that product.
I kind of feel like there's market for everyone. There's market for everyone. There's still market for everyone.
So where does the challenge comes in?
Because I think no, I don't want to first address the challenge, but
Okay.
this is what I'm thinking. You can be producing tomatoes.
Okay.
I produce tomatoes, but I produce tomatoes that have a longer shelf life than yours,
Uh-huh.
and I produce tomatoes that are of good quality than yours, and we are still in the same marketplace. Do you understand? I still, as much as I found you here farming, I will still have a place for myself because of what I am doing is actually extra. And it all comes down to quality. I think for the market, me, I feel like your quality literally sets you aside because no one will come and no one will refuse to buy a good quality product.
Even if it's overflowing in the market, other products or the same products is overflowing in the market.
Do you know what?
As long as it's quality.
Do you know
for
what
you.
we are forgetting?
Uh-huh.
Agriculture is one thing that it's not a seasonal thing. You know, we have to eat food
Every day.
from January to December.
Yeah.
1st of January to 31st of December. If I am using tomatoes from 1st of January, I am using tomatoes till
You'll use
31st of January.
every single day.
Exactly. If I need vegetables, I need them every single day.
Yeah.
Exactly. And right now, look at like with the COVID problem, we are advocating for more people to take fruits because it actually boosts your immunity. And you see, right now, there's actually a really good market for the fruits. And I feel like there's a market for everyone. Do everything the right way. Do everything the right way. I don't think you will fail to miss a market. And then don't be more of, what should I say? More focused on like, I am producing for people in Kajiado.
You should
I am-
not set your mind to a
Yes.
certain market, just one small market.
Exactly. Like I am in Kajiado, so
So the only target audience there you have is
my target audience is my neighbors and the people in the estate I stay.
it's
And
just
if-
a small. It's like zero grazing.
No, it is like here around. Like explore the market. I think yesterday we were talking about Grace Modoni did something on digital marketing.
Yeah.
Digital marketing in agriculture. And I was thinking, when you come online nowadays, you find someone is in a very remote place, maybe in Nairobi, fine, it's in Nairobi, but it's not somewhere very accessible to the Kibanda, Mama Wamboga, and all these places. And you find when you're marketing your products online, mainly maybe I don't have market here. at my local place. But when I put my products online, there's someone who will be like, actually, I need 2 kgs of tomatoes. Can you please deliver? Because maybe where they are, they can't easily access the product. So I feel like there's market for everyone. I wouldn't really say there's no market for everyone, but I say for farming, kindly work with what is suited for the locality in which you are in.
The area that you are in.
Yes, there are crops I can plant in certain climatic conditions.
Mhm.
There are crops I wouldn't. And you don't want to do farming as a hobby where you do something, it fails, and you're like, I will try again, because you just don't want to follow the right channels you're supposed to be following. Do your research. That is why we actually even have extension officers around. They can always guide you what you can plant here, what you can't plant here. Yeah.
Okay, now before we go to the extension officers, just tie in with the market challenges that we have. How is the foreign market a challenge now when it comes to the policies and the laws that we have in the country? Or maybe every other country that has laws, agricultural laws and policies, how is a foreign market a challenge? Because it's a problem.
It is a problem.
Mm.
But you see, for us, most of the time, for a country to be able to trade with another country, there's always an agreement. That is where international relations comes into play. I was looking at the agreement that has been signed within Africa. There's an agreement. There is an agreement. You get to agree on certain conditions, how you operate and how you function. So you find it is more effective because it's something that is really agreed on. Before we sign any contract, we really have to agree on most terms that you're giving to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's all about countries coming together. For example, now if we know we have a certain product and we export it to that country, the best thing to do is uh, we have like a diplomacy kind of thing to come to terms and agreements of how we are going to do this, because now nawategemea from your products, we want your products, and for us we want actually to sell your products, because when we export, not just the government that get the profit, also the farmer from this from whoever started from ground actually gets the profit all the way to the people now we export it to, because they consume the product that we export.
Exactly, and everyone grows in the process.
Yeah.
And I really like what Africa has done at the moment.
Mhm.
It has made trade very easy between the African countries. Very minimal regulations have been put place. Like, it is very hard for a country to be like, no, you can't bring produce into our country. You get, it's very easy to trade within these countries. Tanzania can always bring this, Kenya can always bring this. You get, like, we are working harmoniously.
Especially right now when we have the East Africa community. Now we work as a community.
We work as a community, which you see, it makes everything easier for us.
Yeah.
Because if we are in abundance, we can always sell it to your country. If you are in abundance, we can always sell it to our country, and no one is making losses in the process, and everyone is benefiting.
So that we can thank that to a bit of diplomacy, because now it's the East African region, or the larger Eastern African region. You have the East African region and the Eastern African region just coming together. That's diplomacy, and every sector is actually benefits from the political sector now coming to the agriculture sector. Everyone is benefiting from the good diplomacy that all these countries have.
True. Actually, the whole of Africa has really played a part of it.
Uh-huh.
I think
The
it's
AU.
one thing, it's one thing we are supposed to be proud of as a continent, because you see, within ourselves, we can actually get whatever we need. Because we can get this from Malawi, get this from Zambia. We are good to go. We don't really need to outsource outside the continent as much. And it really helps the operations within the continent.
And I wish Africa would unite like this in so many other sectors apart from the agriculture sector. We probably would be very far as a continent. And just going to the other problem that we have as a continent, or maybe when it comes to the policies and the laws, is the infrastructure. You know, when the farmer is getting their produce from the farm to the to the market. And this comes just a case study in Nyandarua, where we have plenty of milk and plenty of waru, potatoes. We've seen the infrastructure there. It's poor. We've seen lorries that have, getting into accident. They can't move they are stuck in the mud because the roads are so poor. You see products going bad because they cannot get to the market, and it's very, very, very irritating. It's annoying. Someone feels, you've been working for you to get this product, but can't get to the market because of infrastructure.
And I think it's one thing, I think it's a problem in major parts of Africa as a continent. If we are to talk about Africa as a continent, we find our infrastructure is not really developed.
Yeah.
And it is such a problem to the local farmer, because if I am going to produce something and something should be, I'm thinking of a thing like I'm producing skuma wiki. My skuma wiki is supposed to be in Nairobi by, actually Marikiti market is usually open at 4.
Hey,
3 4
very,
3
very
o'clock,
early in
4
the morning.
o'clock.
Yeah.
So meaning the vehicle has to leave at around midnight or 1.
Yeah.
By 4, 3 o'clock, they're supposed to be in Marikiti market.
And
Telling
everyone
the
is flocking
producer.
there. It's fast come, fast serve.
Exactly. And the road is not well. And you find, especially in the rainy season, my vehicle is stuck. And by the time you see you're stuck at night, no one will come and help you at night, right?
Yeah.
So most probably you'll get help in the morning. You get help in the morning. By the time your produce is getting to the market,
Everyone has already gotten their product.
it is around midday.
Yeah.
What is the quality of your product? What kind of product are you selling? It is
No
not
one
of
even
good
wants
quality.
to buy something at midday because now you're buying to go take to other markets.
Exactly. And I'm trying to think, most of our local farmers, you find even the conditions they have when they are traveling, not most of them have the refrigerators in their vehicle materials. So they can't really preserve their produce well. And you see, if I am to talk about vegetables and fruits, these things need to get to the market when they are fresh.
Very fresh.
Exactly. And you're thinking of a place where you don't have a refrigerator in your vehicle, and you just store, the way people store, they take skuma wiki, put it in a sack.
Just like that.
Like it's the local way. Put it in a sack. And that's how we are traveling to Nairobi. By the time I'm getting here, the heat, the skuma wiki doesn't look good. No one is going to buy the skuma wiki. You see, on my part, I will make losses. And you see, it is even, it disorients me in time. Because you see, we work with time. If I am supposed to be in the market by 3 o'clock, I should have sold my produce by 6 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, I should be going back. This is what I should be doing. You see, it kind of disorients the system, everything, how it works. And infrastructure, I'd say, I am looking at a case in Kenya where we have devolved the government. A lot of income is flowing to the counties. And I feel like the counties, the governors, and all the leaders that we have in place should actually be making an effort to develop our counties. Because I don't think it's fair if we still don't have roads in the 21st century.
It becomes...
Our roads are not passable. Yeah. How?
So it should be a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
For the farmers, and also not just for the farmers, because every sector will benefit.
Because the road is being used by everyone. Everyone can access easier markets because the road is flowing. Yeah. Everything is flowing.
Yeah.
And it makes everything easier for the country. But look at us right now. We are really straining because some farmers somewhere, they can't really even access the market because of their roads. So they are stuck with their produce because they can't even access the market because infrastructure is not in place.
Yeah, and that's very, just lacking infrastructure in this country, and we want all the sectors to grow. So if you're out there, you're a farmer and you're being affected, maybe you're watching us from somewhere, there are poor roads, and your products are always affected. You can always talk to us. Remember, we are streaming live on our Facebook page, A Farmers with a Z at the end. Shall be coming back to you with some of the problems that you're having. This is a very interesting conversation, a very wide conversation that cannot really be covered in 2 hours, but we'll try our best to cover what we can. But in the meantime, let's take a short break.
majina ni Emmanuel Lelei ama Olelei Lelei kwenye Facebook. Mimi nashughulika na drip installation, na hiyo ndio kazi ambayo tunaifanya. Kwanza kabisa ningependa kuwashukuru African Farmers Club kwa huu wakati ambao wameweza kunialika katika ofisi yao. Ningependa kusema ya kwamba venye nimeweza kualikwa mahali hapa, mimi ningesema ya kwamba itakuwa ni ushirikiano ulio mwema baina ya drip irrigation, Tips Hub na Africa Farmers Club. Nimekuwa nafanya hii kazi kwa muda mrefu. So far niko na 6 years kwa mambo na installation of drip, na kazi yenyewe ni nzuri, ninaipenda. Kitu ambacho ningependa kuwahimiza wananchi, hakuna mtu unaweza ukafanya kitu kama hujaweza kuipenda mwenyewe. So mimi napenda kazi yangu, kazi ambayo naifanya naipenda, na ndio sababu nimeweza kutilia maana ama nimeweza kuweka kilio kwenye kazi ambayo naweza kuifanya ya drip installation. So kazi yetu tunaifanya, na leo nimeweza kupata hii nafasi ya kuweza kuwa pamoja na African Farmers Club. So ukitaka kunipata kwenye mtandao Facebook, utanipata kama Olelei Emmanuel, ama unipate na Olelei drip irrigation tips hub. Kwa Gmail utanipata emmanuel.lei@gmail.com, na kwenye YouTube bado utanipata kama irrigation tips hub. Nambari yangu ya simu kwa wale ambao wanaweza kuwa wanauliza, nambari ya simu ni 0720041484. Ningependa kabisa kuweza kuonyesha emitter ni nini na kazi yake na umuhimu wake pia ni nini. Unapoitazama hapa kuna drip line, na utaona ukiangalia kwenye sehemu ya juu kuna sehemu moja iko na hizo shimo ambayo inatoa maji, hiyo ndio tunaita emitters. So maji, wakati wote maji inatokea kwenye hizo emitters, na hiyo emitter ikiweza kuwa uchafu ikiweza kuingia humo ndani haiwezi kutoa hiyo maji. So emitters ni kitu muhimu sana kwa drip line, maana hiyo ndio ina release maji iweza kuenda kwa mmea. So ningependa kueleza tu kwamba mtaweza kujua wakati unafanya installation ya drip, kama wameinstall shamba yako, make sure unaangalia kila wakati hizo emitters kama zimeangalia juu ama zimeangalia chini. Zikiangalia chini, hapo in the bottom yake kuna na chances ya uchafu. Wakati iko na uchafu kwa tank, ipite kwa filter, ikifika pale itaweza kublock hizo shimo na zitaweza kutoa maji. Number 2, wakati tunafanya installation hapa kuna aina moja ya starter connectors, na ambayo sio starter connectors, hii tunaita min valve, ambayo ina uwezo unaweza ukaifunga mwenyewe ama ukaweza kuifungua. Kama unavyoona kuna maji yanatoka, na kuna ambayo ni direct starter connectors. So hii ni mojawapo ya mkulima mwenye anaweza akatumia kitu kama hii, maana anaweza control, ama ako na maji kidogo, unaweza ukacontrol wakati umefanya installation yako, unaweza ukacontrol hii maji, maana hii itakuwa na kazi kubwa.
As we quickly progress from agriculture to agribusiness, market is key. Join us every Wednesday as we bring to you Market Watch, a show that covers candid discussions regarding the state of the market. Tune in and let's turn our farms into businesses.
And welcome back to the Farm Drive right here on A Farmers Media. You are hanging out with me, Conrad Kibe, and Lillian. We've been having a very great conversation on how the agricultural policies and the laws affect us, as maybe directly because we are farmers, and maybe indirectly for you who maybe is a tea lover, because you've been talking about tea and the grade that we've been taking as a country. Maybe you're being shocked that you're taking that grade, maybe the poorest of the grades that we have in the country. But don't worry, all these policies, we are hoping that they will be in place. We've talked about the reasons as to why we should be having these policies in place, and now we're talking about the problems that we face when we are implementing these policies and laws. And definitely, as I keep on telling you, remember, even as we're continuing with everything that you're doing, your day-to-day work, you're a farmer, you're doing something else, just remember the three things that MOH or WHO has always outlined from the word go when this pandemic hit. It's all about us keeping safe. COVID-19 is real, COVID-19 is here, and we just have to live by it. So definitely you have to wear your mask, most importantly, a clean mask for that matter. Keep your social distance, and definitely utilize the sanitizer. If you're lucky enough, you can have your pocket sanitizers to avoid when you get into any building. You always keep on sanitizing, and it's safer for you if you have your own personal or pocket sanitizer on the other hand. So as we're talking about the problems that we face when implementing this, the implementation of the laws and the policies in the agricultural sector, we talked about the market challenges, we talked about the foreign markets, and lastly, before we went for the short break, we talked about infrastructure. Now, as we wind up on the problems, let's talk about pests and diseases, and also we talk about use of technology as we wind up.
The agricultural policies and laws have been put place to be able to sort a lot of things. And you see, we've talked about the markets and all these things. And so for pests and diseases, I'd say we have a lot of pests and diseases that affect our crops, especially if you're growing your crops in the soil. I think yesterday you did something about hydroponic farming,
Yes.
which kind of eliminates a lot of pests and diseases.
Yeah.
But for farmers who actually use soil to do their farming, we get
The
a
field
lot.
farmers, those who just go to the field.
Yes, we get a lot of pests and diseases affecting us. And you see, for a local farmer, if I get pests and diseases affecting my crops, I'll try to find a solution for it. And most of the solutions that we have, I feel like very few farmers are using biological methods to get rid of pests and diseases. And most of them are actually using the chemical methods. And when we are using the chemical methods, we spray our crops with pesticides. And when we look around, some pesticides are actually not even safe for consumption. They are not. So you find as farmer has sprayed a certain pesticide that may be harmful to the consumer. And that's why we have the laws and the policies in place. With the laws and the policies in place, we know there is a restriction of certain pesticides that can be used. We actually have certain pesticides that have actually been banned for use because of their effects. And their safety, they are not as safe to use. And it's I feel like it kind of protects finally the consumer, because you see, the consumer doesn't know whatever.
What to use, yeah.
Yeah, They don't know whatever the producer used, and you find in the latter end it has effects. But with these policies and the laws in place, we kind of protect the consumer. We are very sure the consumer is going to get a very safe product for consumption, because actually we find even the pesticides that have not been banned, they cannot be sold in the agrovets. So the producers don't have access to them. So everything that they have access to is actually something that can be used, something that is safe for consumption for the consumer.
And talking about the pests and diseases, earlier this week we were having a discussion, and I was shocked to hear that some farmers will also, because maybe they don't have money for buying the pesticides, they will use detergents, and and sprinkle on their farm produce, and maybe it's you telling me it's a short term, something that you can use short term, but it's not long term. But I was shocked to see that if you spray detergents on this the produce, it actually works. I didn't know about that. But now it's short term. But when we want long term, we can use the pesticide that, as you're saying.
Oh yeah, there's a time I was in Kisumu, and in Kisumu I was working with farmers, especially in Nandi South. Nandi South is somewhere near Kisumu, towards Nyahera, towards that place. So it is really near Kisumu, and we were doing a certain project. And in this project that we were doing, we were working with farmers, and we had farmers who had planted maize, and there was an outbreak of fall armyworms. And you'd go to someone's farm and you're looking at the produce and you're like, what actually are you doing about this? And you find that they don't know what to use. They don't know what to use. And people are using the local things that they know. They don't know they're supposed to be applying this pesticide to be able to solve a problem. And you find someone is taking aerial. You mix it with water, spray it on your crops.
Any detergent, they are just using detergent.
Yes, and you're just solving a problem like that. But you see, it's not a long-term thing. It is not a long-term thing.
It's just short term. It's just for, you're saying it kills the big, what you can see with your eyes, but for the small ones, not be killed.
It is a cover-up. You find something are not really controlling their produce. Should I say you're not controlling the pests well in your produce, and you see it has an effect in the latter end. When you let your pests get into your crops, most probably the produce won't be of good quality, right?
Yeah.
Other than quality, you are most likely to get less produce on your farm. You're not going to get what you're supposed to be getting. And you see, the farmer is supposed to getting a very good output from something, and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Or you get the way they are applying pesticides, and you apply the wrong pesticide, like something that has been banned. I don't know where you got it from, but maybe you had access to it. You apply it, and when it comes to the market, you can't really sell your produce because everyone is like, we're not going to use this. And let me use an example of, again, the export market. For the export market, they are very specific on certain pesticides that you can use. And if you use some pesticides, actually your produce can't even get into their country. It can't. They are not
do they
going
use
to do
a
that.
certain what method do they use to know that you've really used a certain pesticide, or maybe you clearly didn't even use that pesticide?
You see, there's investigation done. You can always track back, and you see, for an organization like KEFIS, some tests are done. So
on the products before exporting.
Yes, you can always know. And then you see, the world right now is kind of shifting to a place where we want to get into organic way of producing things. Okay, we're not yet there, but that's exactly what we are trying to do. And you see, you find some countries, they don't want actually even pesticides to be used on their product. They want you to control your pests by other means. We have biological and cultural means, and people are really trying to get rid of these chemicals that we are consuming in our produce. And that's why you find regulations are so strict that if you are using chemicals, these are the only chemicals you can use, because this is what we find safe for consumption. And I think it generally protects the health of the consumer in general, and it helps even the producer to be able to do, we are trying to do good agronomic practices. Do things the right way. We don't want to do things in a rush. No, I know this product is not safe, but because this is what I can use.
You agreed to get
You
maybe
just do it.
you just want to export the products and just get money. You're doing it out of money.
Like
And that's malice.
you're not even doing it with the consumer in mind.
Yeah.
You are not even concerned with the safety of the
It's
people
just being
in hand.
selfish.
It is a very selfish idea.
Yeah.
And I think this has helped regulate the ideas that even the producers can have. They have to have people in mind in everything they do. And you see, when you have people in mind, you are very careful in what you produce.
Yeah, yesterday I was talking about being intentional with what you're doing, especially when you have now the consumers in mind and what you want to achieve after what you've done, after planting, whatever you're planting, and even harvesting and taking to the market. You have to be very intentional. So you're intentional with the whatever you're exporting and maybe what you're selling locally. So as we wind up, just very fast, quick, as we tackle the areas where these cultural policies apply.
The cultural policies apply in certain areas in agriculture. I'd give an example where I feel that they should be applying
Okay.
more effectively. I'd go with extension services. Extension services are services that are rendered to the producer or the local farmer to be able to guide them on the production
Okay.
of their farm produce. This is done by extension officers. The extension officer will always come and guide you through. This is what you can plant at this place. This is the spacing you can use. Use this variety of seeds. This is how the management practices are done. You do weeding at this time. You spray at this time. You do everything at this time. And you see, the essence of the extension services is to help the local producer to be able to attain maximum productivity out of their plants. And that is why we have them. But we have a situation where we are looking in a country like Kenya. The extension services, I'd say they are not very good.
Okay.
They are not very good. I feel like they are poor. I was reading somewhere that we have a ratio of one extension officer to 3,000 farmers.
Just one.
1 to 3,000 farmers.
So it means in a year, this one officer, for him or her to come back to your farm, how long will it take?
After 3 years.
What?
After 3 years. And you see, this is a problem. How can a farmer see an extension officer after 3 years? And you find that the recommendable one is 1 to 400. But we are at a place where we are 1 to 3,000. If I am to see an extension officer after 3 years, how many years of planting have I had at 3 years?
Yeah.
And some people actually do crops that are planted twice in a year. Now imagine I've planted my crops 6 times in a year without any consultation from an extension officer, any guidance, and anything. And this is why we find most of our farmers, they kind of don't get the right output out of their produce because of lack of extension services. And the lack of extension services, the farmers don't have the information.
Okay.
So someone is farming without information. So you are going with what you think is right. What you've heard is right from your fellow farmers. It cannot always be right. You see, like the instance we were talking about using aerial. You find maybe someone heard it from their neighbor. It is not right, but you heard it from your neighbor, and that is what you know works. And this is because you've not had an extension officer telling you, you see, this is what you're supposed to be spraying. And you
So that's where the policies need to actually apply in the extension service.
I feel it should be increased. Like, I feel in all countries, because agriculture is the backbone of most of African countries. Agriculture is holding the countries.
Okay.
Most of our GDP comes from agriculture, right?
Yeah.
And meaning it is a very strong sector that really needs very good systems in place. And if we need to achieve maximum productivity out of what we are doing in agriculture, we need extension. We need more extension officers. I feel like countries should be at a place where we are training more extension officers.
Okay.
There's something I'd really like to Grace Modoni did something on youth in agriculture, women in agriculture, and I feel like at some point, you see, with the way we are trying to empower women,
Mhm.
we should be in a place where we are also empowering the youths. We find we are in a place where, okay, recently, more youths are getting into agriculture.
Yeah.
And I feel now that we have more youths getting into agriculture, the government could at least lay a place where we can train some of these youths. Train some of these youths to be able to become extension officers so that they can offer these services to the many farmers that we have in place. I feel like at a farmers we are really trying the best we can in offering extension services, and something is coming up about training extension officers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because we are out of time, maybe the second place just to go through is agricultural research institutes, where we have told me it was changed
Oh.
from it was Kari, Kenya.
Agriculture Research Institute.
Now right now it's
Kenya Agricultural Livestock and Research
this
Organization.
is another place where these cultural policies should apply and should always be working. Maybe they are not working currently, but they should be working, and we are hoping that in the near future, or maybe when the systems are right, when we don't have broken channels and everything, these systems and these institutes, the policies should be working in the extension services, as you've said, and also in these institutions. So I would like, as we wind up, you talk to a farmer there, maybe a young person who is into farming, and this is the first time they've heard about the policies, and now they're looking forward to farming. So just give them a word of encouragement and tell them, after now you've seen the services, the policies and the laws talked about yesterday, talked about hydroponic farming. There's a way, just challenge them and give them, tell them can happen. As a young person, you don't need to do so much. Things are changing. We have modern technology. You can just talk to a young person who wants to venture into farming.
Agriculture is the backbone of our society, and the future right now is oriented towards agriculture. And we want to attain food security in our world. So more people should get into agriculture. And as we get into agriculture, let us make good use of the information we have around. Let us make good use of extension officers that we have guiding us on how to go about in our agriculture, and let us do our research. Let us do our research, and our research is very important. Let us not stay ignorant in a point where we have information but we are not trying to get the information. Let us get information in everything we do, including agriculture. Get to learn about the policies and laws that are in your country and what is working for you, and see how it can help you in your agriculture thing that you're doing. And if you want to start agriculture, start it now.
It's now. The time is now.
The time is now.
So you, as a young person, you've been told, do your research, and the time is now. There is no other time that you can start this practice if you're into it. As I said, be intentional. Uh, be very, very intentional when you want to start all these practices. And I think that's all we had for today. It's a very, very big and wide topic, talking about the laws, the policies that we have in the agriculture sector, in terms of locally and also globally. It affects every farmer out there, regardless of where the country that you come from. You need the government to put all these policies and laws into practice, and for everything to work in unison, we have to have everyone working together. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining this conversation, and everyone who has been tuned in on our YouTube page, that is a Farmers Media, and also our Facebook live stream, that is a Farmers with a Z at the end. Thank you so much, and for everyone who commented, gave their views, tunasema asante sana. Until next week, where we shall be having great conversations from Z to 5. I think we don't have something else, but remember, we are getting into the weekend where people do all sort of things. But remember to take care of yourself, wear that mask, use a sanitizer, and most importantly, keep social distance. If you need to stay home, please stay home. Otherwise, be kind to one another. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Until next week on Monday, all the best.